Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Rana, the host, and I'm super excited to be here with these beautiful people. Today, as you can tell from the title, the topic of today is going to be African Americans versus Africans, where we discuss our similarities and differences in hopes to come to a middle ground. Before I get started, I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves and what they identify as. As you guys know, my name is Rina. I identify as an African from Cameroon, even though I am American, but I do tell people and introduce myself as Cameroonian. So that's that.
My name is Manasseh. I identify as East African from Kenya and Ethiopia. I am also American, but that's typically what I identify as.
My name is Diamatu. I identify as African, even though I grew up in America, but I mainly identify as African.
My name is Chris. I identify as a international black man, aka from here. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So I'm gonna start off with typical stereotypes that we have had of the other side. When I say other side, I just mean African Americans. So for me, typical stereotypes that Africans have of African Americans is that African Americans think that we're better than them. That's like a typical stereotype. Do you guys have any
I hear
other?
that a lot.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. More often than you think.
Chris said, let me drink my tea. Chris, what's the typical stereotypes you have of Africans? At the top of your head, you've heard of, like, when you look at Africans, you're like, oh yeah, this is
Running
African.
with lions.
Strong, smart. Y'all got a lot of entrepreneurs.
See, this why I'm trying to sugarcoat
Where's
it.
the cut?
No, for real. Like y'all do like a lot of entrepreneurship in y'all culture, cause like the average black man here are considered like lazy thugs, this and that. And that.
So that's a stereotype that Africans who project onto African Americans.
Yeah.
Because I've heard some Africans say that.
I mean, realistically, Africans are better than African Americans.
I don't think so.
I mean, in a form of where like you guys are trying to better yourselves. You guys are trying to better yourselves, and like when you come over here, like you know what I'm saying, you guys like we make excuses for a lot of stuff, like why we can't do this, why we can't do that. We're trying to get money, and we just bullcrap about it. You guys come over here, you guys start $1 million business, and you guys go from here to here while we still down here in poverty trying to make it.
But then a lot of African Americans would say it's because of the restrictions that I guess white America has put. Like, take for example, a black man going to get a property would be a lot harder. Do you guys agree with that? Like, as to why African Americans are not as on top of it?
So, like for me, when I was back home, I definitely had that same stereotype because that was typically what was given. It's like, hey, African Americans don't know how to work hard. We're here struggling, just trying to find ends meet, when they're just chilling out there and pretty much everything's just easy mode. But then once I came here, started learning about racism, the history of the country, I'm like, damn, I can't even blame y'all for being like this, because I'm like, if I was this, I'll probably end up in the same position.
That's what I thought too initially. The stereotypes came from listening to like older Africans who have been here longer than I have been, but living here for the past couple of years, I see that. I mean, African Americans can do just as much. It's just the restrictions are too much, and it's not just restrictions now, from like way back. And when you look at those restrictions, and I mean, when something has happened for a long time, it's kind of hard to like break out of it easily. Whereas Africans, we come here, the first thing we're thinking is money, how to send money back home. So we don't care of any restrictions. If we have to start working at Walmart or working as a CNA or something, we're gonna do it. So we don't really like see those restrictions per se, because we know that at the end of the day, we're gonna send our money back home to build a house. So I can see why like people will see Africans like, oh, they're hardworking, and Americans as, oh, they're lazy. But it's like, when you look back at the history, that's really where it all started from. So I I'm not using that as an excuse like, oh, stay lazy, but I don't want to be too hard. That's why I don't like that statement, Africans are better than African Americans because African are lazy. Like, no, I don't. I personally don't like it, but that's just how I feel about it. What do you guys think? Do you guys want to add on to that?
I mean,
I totally agree when it comes to like the stigma of African Americans, how like Africans kind of projected it onto them because like when we grow up and you like your parents see you being useless according to them, being useless even though you just relaxing, but they try to call you like you live in an American lifestyle. That's how they would compare it to when you just not just relaxing, you just chilling, have your phone in your hand. Everything that goes wrong, they blame it on the phone. So it's like, I can see how we grow up to thinking like, how they grow up to think that we probably think we're better than them. The whole time, it's what's been taught.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
What's been taught from back home. We're also trying to make ends meet. Do you see Africa? We're trying to send money back home to build up that Africa. So when you see us working, we're working not only for ourselves, but for our future generations, for the next generation who's the next generation in Africa. So now, do you think African Americans and Africans are different?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Gee, you guys said that fast.
Yeah.
I feel as if Africans are, well, this could really be self-subjective, like why I'm saying it, but I feel like Africans are more open. Meaning, Americans, you see how your friend just tried the food? We came to this country, we have our own traditional food, but we're open to other people's food. We as African, we eat Chinese food, we eat Indian food, we eat
any food.
We eat Jamaican food, we eat Haitian food. We're open to other foods, but when it comes to other people in our food, they don't want to try it. It don't look good. It don't look appealing.
Eating the food with the hand alone.
Yeah,
like yo, what's going on?
So that's why I feel we're kind of different. And growing up, I kind of thought African Americans were kind of arrogant. Not open, closed-minded, not wanted to, I'd be like, you don't want to eat the food? Fine, let me eat. I'll bring my food and soup to school and not care, okay?
How about you? In what way are we different? What do you think?
Household. The household is different. More so, the aspect of, what you said earlier about, you guys got to go back home and you got to send money off. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with us a little bit, as far as
So that's a similarity. I
mean, we are the same as far as when it comes mostly to the home and mentality thing, as far as the whole hustling and working hard. Because I got to send money back home. We got to take care of kids, baby mamas, family, grandmas, whatever, especially because we live in the hood or whatever the case may be. And we trying to get out. So that's one of the biggest things as far as that. But what kind of separates us is that parents, the way of being raised and stuff like that is a lot different. Like a lot of my African friends, their parents were a lot stricter than mine. Mine was strict, but they weren't as strict as a lot of African parents, and that's what kind of makes or break you as you get older. I feel like a lot of, depending on who you are, but some of the American parents, they know how to work hard. They don't know how to make $1 million. You guys, on the other hand, as far as your parents, are a little bit different. Your parents may know how to make $1 million because one, you guys are coming from somewhere else where you may got investing in hotels and whatever else overseas. We're different. We know how to work hard.
Here.
If not get a GED, get a trade or something like that. You guys know how to make a business.
I agree with that, but some Africans make it look real good, They make it look easy because that's how they become accustomed to. My mom has 6 kids and she make it look so easy.
Man, it's a lot of work. I feel like that's a black woman. Black women just know how to live life and make it look easy until you actually step in their shoes. You're like, jeez. But yeah, so as far as similarities, let's talk about similarities because I had a good debate with an American and she believes that African Americans and Africans are totally different. One similarity or a few similarities that I would say is we're loud. We're late and we're loud. That's the bad side. The good side, a similarity is because African Americans were born from Africa, they were able to carry on some traditions like hair braiding and the concept of seasoning your food. That's a similarity. I mean, like my friend Kennedy tried African food and she said it tastes like collard greens. Like I feel like no African American just woke up one day and just like, oh, I'm gonna start braiding hair. That was passed on from generations from African who were enslaved, you know? So that's a similarity that I think that we have. And the creative side, don't y'all agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I feel like black people in general are just very creative, and we all know where. Can you guys think of any similarity and any other similarity?
Love of music, fashion. Also.
True.
Yeah.
So that's
I can agree with that.
so like the rhythm, stuff like that.
The rhythm.
It goes both ways. A little bit different when it comes to like the type, but for the love of the music, fashion, culture, it's richening. For example, here, black people is really pretty much their culture is pretty much world international.
Yeah.
Africa right now, our music is popping. It's all, everywhere right now. The culture is becoming more popular because of internet, more discoveries getting found. So it's like the creative side of that aspect is still naturally there.
It never left us.
Yeah,
It never
so-
left. That was the origin. Isn't that crazy?
Exactly. Of course. History, even though like history is a little bit different, but most countries went through colonization as well, but a little bit different. But we both went through continents went through the same thing in that aspect. So we kind of get a gist of it. Is just here it's more intense because of the history of the country. So a lot of Africans really don't speak much on that aspect than it is over here.
Let's take a break and we're gonna be right back.
This video is sponsored by Chocolate Skin by Rhina. In our society, the color of our skin is often deemed as unattractive and undesirable. Well, we are changing that narrative and magnifying the beauty in being melanin. Our melanin is beautiful, radiant, and glows on its own. Our skin is beautiful just the way it is.
Welcome back, guys. So, Chris, he don't throw African Americans under the bus. So, we have a new guest, Lexi or Alexis, who's going to be joining us in this conversation. Please, what do you identify as?
African American Black.
She is African American / Black. Okay, guys. This question is for my brothers here, my brother and sister. Why do you guys get offended when people call you African? Like when they say, "Oh, you're African," you're like, "No, I'm not African."
Hold on, before anything else, I want to, as an ambassador of the African community, I want to give you an African card because you have given up on your people. You hear, so you know. Before when they come you on the comments, we got your back. The African people got your back, man. You have said good things about us. We appreciate you.
Nah, but for real, why do you guys get offended when people call you guys African?
I wouldn't
You already have
say
them,
I'm offended because like we all came from walks of life of Africa, but I think kill someone. You're definitely a slave. But the reason I say that is because honestly, like when we were younger, it was instilled like being African is bad. You know, they would say like African booty scratcher, being dark is bad. Now it's all like Nubian queen positivity, you know, all that. So like people are embracing it now, but I don't have anything against it. Like,
so you just don't identify as African because you feel like you don't really know anything about
that. I would also say that too, like not really being cultured, but there's also people like first generation that know no tree or any of that, but they still say that they're African because their parents are from there.
How about you?
Shit, I didn't like African people when I grew up.
Please say that out loud.
No, not like
Okay.
that. Like growing up, of course, like you know, when I was in school, a lot of people was like, you know, when somebody called me African, I was like, I'm not African, I'm from here, I'm American. It's because I saw what everybody else was doing, pretty much. So I kind of like hopped on the bandwagon a little bit. I mean, but like some African people, you know, because it was like a stereotype thing, like when they would come to school, oh, ew, you stink, you smell like this, you know what I'm saying? And then just like Africans, they were all like in their different groups. Like you guys kind of see like you had African Americans over here, then you had Americans. Like Africans over here. So they were all like in their own little section. So we wouldn't really hang with them. They would play soccer, we play football.
But I knew Africans that were literally African, like mom, dad, straight like full African, and they would like preach that they were not African because they were from here. So it's not just black people that are just saying like I'm not African, like even full blood Africans.
They
Would
say-
say
they would say
I
that
feel
too.
like, yeah.
It's
I mean,
like,
I
so
meant
why is everyone?
Because they want to
Because people
get
get bullied.
again. Because
But yeah,
the culture, like growing up, like we wanted to be part of. Everybody wanted to be part of everything. Everybody wanted to do what everybody else was doing. So that's one of the biggest things is that like if you're not from here, then you just
You're like an
you ain't
outcast.
nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because like when we was in school, who was the biggest popular group? Black people.
Black people.
Everybody want to do what everybody see black people do,
just
including white people.
Yeah.
But when you sign that paper, it doesn't give you no option. It's just black.
Yeah.
Facts.
So-
But now the rules have changed. Like now, like everybody's hanging with everybody.
Yeah.
Including
Yeah.
black friends. We are like all best
We're on the
friends. We
same.
rapping everything.
Mhm.
So
That's facts. I know I experienced that. I remember one time after school, in adult high school, we're all hanging out. This African American kid, this black kid just came and like, drew a line and said, all the Africans go that way, all the African Americans go that way. And I'm like, we're all black, you know. That's another thing too. You know, we're black people, but then the only difference is that, you know, one comes from, you know, Africa and another one comes from here. But honestly, personally, like I said earlier, I think we are different, but we still have some similarities, and I like to embrace those similarities, but that's just me. But my other question is, how do you guys feel about people calling you guys Akata?
I'm sorry. What is it?
I think that shit is so
Akata.
fucking funny. Because
Wait,
I
wait,
like
wait,
the
what is
slang.
it?
Like
What-
I just love languages and shit like that.
Hold on,
Like
I'm sorry.
because
Pause.
it's not terrible.
Akata.
It's just
What the
someone
fuck does
calling
that
you
mean?
black, like crack. Well, let me not say crack because that's kind of
No,
like.
So
Yeah.
Akata is what Africans call African Americans.
What is it?
I guess it means a cat that ran away from home.
I
Wow.
never heard that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But you know how
Yeah,
Spanish
I
I
never
didn't
heard
even
my
know about
mom-
that one.
Spanish people be calling white people gringos and shit.
Yeah.
So
It's like
black
that.
people are a cocktail.
Akata.
For my country, we call white people Mzungus. Yeah, so every time when
That's
we
like
go,
some drums.
yeah, exactly.
They try to play the drum like shit.
Because like you know like how like when a black person goes to like a country like Germany and they're like an animal, like they call them a monkey and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like
When a white guy goes to like Africa, we're like, oh my god, look at a white man. He got red and white mixed in between because they can't handle the heat. So we call them Zungus. Look at them. So
So
the same
are
way.
y'all saying look at us then?
No,
'cause y'all
it's
black
just a
people.
way to identify.
Yeah, there's a way to identify them.
When we're talking smack or we're just talking about
roast.
somebody, we're not gonna be like that African American or
Nah,
that
we're not
black
gonna do it in
person.
front
We're
of
just be
you.
like, oh, it's not that. Akata for D. You know, like that.
Nah, but
Akata
y'all
over
be
there.
like,
So
like
so
But
you're
it's like
you're
a
calling.
certain attitude though.
Yeah.
When we're saying that, like
Well,
you would
yeah.
know the type of akata we're talking about when we say that.
True.
Like,
So you're calling me a cat.
No, we're just
That's different. Like when I say akata, I mean like Afro. Like I don't know. I grew up calling African American people Afro. Akata.
yeah.
So it's just to differentiate. But sometimes I'm not saying it in that type of connotation. I'm just saying it. But if me and my homegirls are talking, and then we was in some type of situation with an African American girl, yeah, we're gonna be like, yeah, that akata, like because you're acting like an akata, like.
We'll see. No,
Black bitch.
people think that akata is a bad word. It's not a bad word. It's just a word. It's not a bad word. It's just a word to describe somebody. The same way white Africans call white people oyibo. Oyibo is not a bad word.
But the
It's
way
just
it
like-
sounds, it
it's just like
don't sound
food.
nice.
It's
bro.
like-
It sounds like you're making fun of them.
Is it like saying like nigger or nigga? Is that something?
To some people,
I'm asking. I don't know.
To-
I'm asking.
to some
It's just
people,
a word to identify a group of people.
But the
How
way
about
it
that?
comes off, it doesn't.
No, it depends on the context you use it. If you say,
Yeah.
oh, that my
Yeah.
Akata sister, that means you're just calling like, oh, that my
Yeah.
black African American sister.
Okay.
But if you're mad, you know, you're like,
The
yeah,
tone.
that Akata over, that Akata for the, you know, that Akata get them, or those Akatas over there. You know what I mean?
ain't never
It's like
heard
the
it
word,
said
it's like the cuss word, right? It's like you use the cuss word based on the situation. You go like, oh shit. When you're happy, or oh shit. When you're, you know, it's kind of like that. So it's not necessarily a bad word, just a word to describe a group of people.
depends. Just like what you were saying about depends what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because like they were talking about the stigmas about Africans about smelling and all that type of stuff. Our stigma was they ghetto.
Yeah.
They ghetto. They have
Disrespectful.
multiple kids.
Disrespectful.
Hold on.
But it's so
Hold on,
crazy.
stop,
Let me
stop,
stop
stop.
there.
Wait,
Yo,
wait,
African
wait.
niggas real life have a baby in Africa and get the fuck to America for a new life. No stereotype. I'm not trying to go on them, but
And then come here.
how? And then be outside. Oh my God. Like not trying to disrespect y'all loud shit too.
I don't
Y'all
know.
loud
It's
shit.
African, man.
Y'all loud shit.
Y'all come here.
African with
Hold
the
on,
garage.
bro.
This is what
We
it's
wild
like.
over there.
That's
Wild
We
over
all
there.
loud as shit.
Be
Wait.
like queen. Be like queen.
No.
You got 5 little queens over there. You
Yeah,
got 6
like
kids
what?
over
Like
there.
you have kids over there. Like
had to defend you. Like, disgrace us.
You want to do
listen,
it?
why
I
are you
want to do
beating
life
up
for
on us?
these
Yeah,
ones.
No, hold on, time out. So,
the
like-
American ones get the good life. The ones back.
So in all the words, we kind of similar, pretty much.
Well,
Nah,
yeah.
I wouldn't.
I'm just saying. Y'all, I mean, we have 7 kids over here. Y'all got 12 kids over there.
I know.
Trying to build a kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Then you come
Listen,
over here, you want to
In
bring the
our, in
line
our
over
country,
here.
we are some countries are allowed to have more than one wife.
Yeah, it's allowed.
That's
And,
culture.
and you know we call that
That's
over.
culture.
You know what we call it over here?
Yeah.
Side chicks.
Yeah,
Side chicks.
but this is the
Side
thing.
chicks.
Here it's not allowed. There, the women know.
We know.
We know. They know.
So when you
So hold on, time out. Are you fine with being a second wife?
no, I'm
Okay.
not
But
fine
that's-
with it.
okay.
But
But
that's
I
the
just
thing.
wanna know.
She's
in our
typically-
culture, I guess African men just come with that mentality like, oh, I can have multiple wives, and then they come over here, they show African American girls more money, then obviously you just jump on him.
I don't know
like,
what type of
it's
African she's
not-
talking about.
That's another.
I don't know what
that's
type of
another
African
thing.
she's
I'm
talking
like,
about,
oh,
y'all.
women in general.
African-
Listen,
American
I'm
women
defending my men.
think
I don't know what she's
I
talking about.
mean, yeah, because that's what African men.
No
like,
man come
show
here
them.
with money. We can't. The whole purpose we came here is to get money, not to give it away.
Well, I beg to differ
We
because
came
a
here to
lot of
get
your
money.
brothers are doing it. They come over here to flash more money, and then they have like 3 different girlfriends. That's just how African men
That
are.
is showing appreciation. That's a little bit different.
Okay. God in heaven. Okay, this is a question for you guys. So you know how Africans get a little bit shaky, or black people, us, I'm talking about all of us in general, when we see white women wear braids or wear like locks or anything like that, we get a little bit offended. We call it cultural appropriation. Now, since Africans don't really like to identify them, African Americans don't really like to identify themselves as African. When we see you guys wearing stuff like dashiki or any Afritude, is that cultural appropriation?
Yes.
Would you consider it cultural appropriation?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean,
It's just not mentioned.
no,
a lot
put
of
like
the
this.
time.
Like I
I
said,
would say-
nowadays, I mean, we kind of take on the culture now. We take on y'all culture because we like it, like food and everything. Like, I mean, we all like growing up together. Like, even though like we might have had our differences, but we still all grown together. And like now, like we're like all tight. So I don't know. Like I wear dashiki because
Although I
it
feel
looks
like
good.
if
It looks good.
It's colorful and shit. Women be like, I like them. Like,
Although I feel like once, like when you're a child though, like going in middle school and stuff like that, if you're too African and you're different, you get made fun of automatically.
Well,
You get roasted
because
because you're too different.
Because we're
But
we kids and we don't know any better. Same thing.
But
You don't know nothing until you get out of high school. You
Facts.
actually see how
Yeah.
life is.
Yeah.
Because we make fun of y'all and everything else, but again, to state the fact, when we get out of high school, everybody is different. The people that were troublemakers, got in trouble, did this, had kids and all that. Look where they are now. Some of them either in jail, they locked up, or they out here making money. They got a store, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I'm just saying, like.
You know the
It
opportunity
switches.
America gives us, though, right?
Yeah.
Diversity. It gives us the opportunity to learn about other cultures. I take it as an appreciation or interest in our
Me
culture.
too.
I don't take it as appropriation because in different places, in different countries, it's called natural isolation. Culturally, they just know their culture. So just naturally, that's what they know.
Mhm.
So it's like you can't blame people for what they don't know. In America, we're a melting pot. So that's why people are more we have more convergence when it comes to cultures because we're stuck in a school 8 hours a day. Of course, you're gonna learn about your African brother. You're gonna learn about your Asian brother. You're gonna learn about your white brother. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
I
But-
think people need to know what they're doing. Not
True.
everything, but like if a white girl had braids and she's like, they're just braids, and then there's that. Like back in 1900, this is how we got across. We was putting braids in our hair, so all the heritage of that and shit. And also with the high school thing, like people, like you were saying, like the one guy that's wearing his dashiki and all that, like people aren't confident in themselves. So when they see someone like being loud and being like accepting of who they are, they're feeling some type of way. Like the people that have the African background. So like to see that guy, like wow, he knows his language and like just being true to himself. Like not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah.
But also with appropriation, like I said, like you need to know what you're doing because it's like you're just doing it to do it. Like dashiki's cute, but there's gonna be that one person to tell you about your culture, and you just need to look at like focus.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I love
Yeah.
when African Americans embrace our culture. I get so excited because I feel like, you're appreciating a culture that was, I guess your great-great-grandparents were from, I don't really consider it appropriation because, I mean, African American is literally in your name.
yeah.
Your history is literally tied to Africa. So why not appreciate the culture that your great-great-grandparents were? Or why not visit back home, which is another thing. A lot of African Americans don't like to visit back home. And I think that's something that they should do more often.
Definitely, they need to learn more about themselves, learn what's in them.
One of the biggest things too, with all you guys saying, is that it's not taught in school. And the right information about like our culture and African American.
You need to go learn that shit.
Honestly,
it's
it's better it's not being
and
taught
you
in
keep
school.
learning the same
know,
thing every
it's
single
not-
year
but
over
here's
and
the thing,
over again in
it's
different
not,
ways.
It's not properly taught by the right person.
Exactly.
It is not properly taught in school because honestly, let's be all honest, we all learn a lot of bullshit in school that we don't even use.
And I feel like that's what
And
differentiates
also, it
us
wasn't
from-
embarrassing when they were talking about slaves
Exactly.
and all the white people are looking at you like, wow,
like
you
we
went through
learned,
that? Like,
we learned about math and everything else, but honestly, what we should have learned is about life, about bills and relationships, depression, and all that other bullshit.
Well, it's
You
not
know
in the
what I'm saying?
curriculum because that's how things are set
Well, that's
up.
because it's society and they're programmed to learn about shit that don't matter.
And I feel like that's something that also differentiates
We
Americans and
literally-
Africans,
Mhm.
especially from Africans that came back from home. It's like you know your culture, you're taught the history of your country or your people and stuff. So when you come here and you show that, that kind of gives you a sense of pride because like for a lot of Africans, that's why when like African Americans or even people who are not African call us Africans, we get offended because we're like, I'm not African, I'm from my country. Because there's a sense of pride of like which country you come from rather than just being generalized as Africans because the culture is different.
Facts.
We know there's different things about different countries. So it's like sometimes when people call you that, you're like, hey, Wana, I'm not African. I like don't you know your geography? Africa is a continent.
I know.
In our head, sometimes we don't say it, but we just accept it because it happens too frequently. You know, but then also, like I would even say this though, it's like even though we appreciate each other's cultures, my family, like low key rejects some of the African American culture because of the negative stereotype that it has. Like for example, my parents don't know the history of why African Americans are the way they are, and I like for example, like a lot of the times before I came here, my parents warned me about the women. Right, and don't come for me in the comments. This ain't me. This is not me. My parents warned me. They'll be like, because it's like when I date a woman, they'll be like, is she African? Where's she from? And it's like, when I mention she's African American, it's a whole different context compared to the other ones because it's like there's certain things that they hear that might not be true, but it's like it's just generalized. That becomes an issue now where I have to defend African Americans against my parents, especially if I like the person.
Right.
Like they're like, oh, they're too independent, they're too aggressive, they don't like to listen.
They're too
How
independent.
you about to say that?
Listen.
They say African women are submissive, or they're like they live.
More
just-
traditional.
I've
They-
been a
they
server
know-
at a
they know how to-
restaurant.
yeah,
You
that's
want
up.
beer? She wants beer. I want beer. Yes, beer, please. Ethiopian women for sure. Like I want beer. That's all I want. Just beer. Not beer. And the man will be like, yes. Like I need that. I need to look at the menu for myself. I need to pick out everything for myself.
Yeah.
And he's still paying. Like what? Just because he's paying. Like I am his.
Anyone
Like
can be submissive.
Any woman can be
but having a
submissive.
boy, yeah, like that's.
But I feel
that's
like
the thing.
more African women are more submissive. Well, let me not say that. Let me keep my mouth shut.
They're aggressive too.
Because I know some African men are, especially Nigerian women. Hey,
I mean, women
those women are not
what?
that submissive. I can tell you that. They'll listen though. They'll listen, but not submissive. At least.
So it's like it's a difference. Like I had to defend it. Like I'm like you can't be talking like this in front, like in public, but they do it in closed doors. And
So
I'm like,
why
yo,
do you
this is so
think they have
damaging.
these stereotypes? Why do you think
It's a
where's
negative because it comes from back home. Because it's like when we were back
Social
home, we
media.
were like we were shitting on African
Oh
Americans.
wait, it comes from the media.
And also
How
media
the
too.
media portrays African Americans. I remember when I was in Africa, the movies that I watched, the way African Americans are portrayed.
Hey,
You know, that's
dangerous.
That's the same way as they portray us to African Americans, which I feel like that's where all these Africans are
Running with
primitive and running with
we
lions.
learn how-
It's the same
we're all
thing.
poor.
All goes back to the white man. Just kidding. But yes, the way they portrayed African Americans back at home, they portray them as thugs, as the bad guys, you know, and then they portray Africans as the poor people, the primitive people. And honestly, like we're grown now. You're here in America. You've seen that not all African Americans are like that, and you've seen Africans. Not all Africans are like that. So you know, it's about time we start breaking these stereotypes. How do you think we can move forward with like these differences that we have and we focus on too much? How can we move forward for the next generation, like in a way that we know that we are different, however, just still come together as one, appreciating each other's culture and not keeping our cultures away from the other because they're American. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Africans
say-
preserve their cultures too much sometimes.
I don't think
I
that's
think
a
that's
bad
not
thing.
looking down on people. Just
Yeah.
we're all people. Like if the white people are looking at us still as all monkeys, like we're not different. Like
Yeah, so it's like
we're
it
all
comes down-
like we're all fighting. Like we're not fighting them, but that's how they're looking at us. Why say that the African or black people are this and we're that when we're all trying to work to the same goal? Like,
Exactly.
When you follow that paper,
it's still black
says
African
African-American.
African American or black. The
Or
fuck?
other.
Or other. Are you Spanish or not? The fuck? Like
If we get stopped, they gonna see me as a black person. So I guess okay, yeah. No, like
hold on.
how can we move forward? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I would say keep your friends informed.
mm,
Keep like black news positive.
definitely.
Meaning like I try not to listen to too much rap. I mean, I love the culture, don't get me wrong, but it's too much. It suppresses black positivity sometimes in rap. You feel me? So that's why in African music is more about sweet love.
Definitely.
It's more about home, mother, like your motherland, just more about life. I'm not gonna hold you. Some of them be talking about, shovels and that's them, but we don't understand it.
It's
And
fact.
the vibe-
I would say
Wait,
that
hold on,
with
the
R&B
rhythm
and
is
the
really
black.
good.
wait, no, I gotta speak about this. Hold on, time out. No. I get what you're saying, but no, that's cap. But look, because the music is not more so negative. One thing, like a lot of black people, that's how they express themselves is through the music.
Right.
Because you can there's a lot of fire songs where people are talking about depression. We're talking about.
But those are not the famous ones.
That's
All right,
really
so-
not the thing.
It's not the
Bruh.
famous one.
Well,
Like,
no,
let's
no,
look
okay,
at-
hold on, wait.
let's look at the most
Detroit
famous-
rap, like you better wake up and get some money because you need to get out of the
Well,
situation that you're in. That's positivity.
It depends on
It's
the
not all about
song.
booze
Because
and hoes and
now
all that
a lot of
shit.
popular songs are none about ass shaking and drugs
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
But-
now- and
But-
I
But
think
that's only when you go to like the clubs. When people are riding their car by themselves, they're listening to. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. NBA YoungBoy. He going through so much stuff. A lot of the young
Well, which
people are going
ones?
through
Which
stuff.
ones are the famous artists, the
Mhm.
musical artists? They're the ones that talk about that stuff. Yes, there is music that is,
They talk
good
about
and
what
stuff.
they talk about what they went through. And
but
a lot
that's
of people can't
popular.
relate.
That's trending though. That's trending.
It's not just
The
true.
ass shaking, the
I'm not,
wearing
talk,
bikini
I'm not
and
talking
shit.
about
That's
that.
trending.
I'm talking about the stuff that
That's
we
honestly
that
African
we go
American
through.
as Jesus.
A lot of the rappers,
Right.
listen, if you actually listen to rap, a lot of rappers talk about what they went through. Drugs, trapping, getting their mom out the slums, friends done died, grandma done died, somebody got shot. We all done been through that. That's where that music come from. It's popular.
But there's
So
exactly that's what I'm saying. There's no
gets us going.
positivity. It's all negative. So like if a child,
It's not negative, bro, because you're looking at it from a negative standpoint. You gotta look at it from where we're coming from, what we're trying to tell you.
I
You
understand
understand
that,
what
but
I'm
it's
saying?
like now this is the thing though. If you're gonna keep preaching that and 24/7, and then while you're preaching that, I see a girl ass shaking in the video.
Mhm.
I'm not even gonna be focusing more because they be rapping too fast, and then I see women shaking. I see bottles being popped.
You can see it.
But
But
and
then
stuff like that.
also
And I'm like,
J. Cole,
bro,
Kendrick
you-
Lamar,
but hold
artists
on.
like that are
Exactly.
positive. People
That's
think that's
true.
boring.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
this is
But-
boring as shit.
exactly,
I don't want to
because-
listen to this.
exactly,
But
so
they're
that's-
out there.
that's-
Like
first-
there's
first
other
of all,
artists that
They,
are
hold on,
they're
positive.
out there, but it's like they're not trending.
It's
So
like
it's
y'all
like on
just want to
Instagram.
see the people shaking ass.
So,
Just
like-
like with the wine and all the
Exactly.
Afro beats.
So-
People want to see that. They want to see beautiful
Well,
women.
that's
But
true.
You're a
there
man,
is-
okay? You're
you
a
know?
man. You're gonna want to see ass shaking.
Exactly.
I don't care if I'm depressed or not.
So then it's
I'ma
like,
see
it's
it.
all we are is black and African American ass shaking.
No,
Because
but-
you can't just say, oh, African.
That's
Black
what he
people,
brought up.
like,
ass shaking,
nah,
that's
like
like-
negativity.
Okay,
like,
y'all,
That's
so ass
culture.
shaking is negative too, because you're
All right,
experiencing
y'all.
No, it's not.
This
It's called
conversation's getting
losing
real
weight.
heated.
That's what I like when he's saying like black is just rapping, killing, and
The girl,
shaking
she-
ass. So it's
what
like,
she talking
okay,
about?
African people do that shit. What is Whiskey like? What Burger Boy like? Does he be smoking big gas, shaking ass?
But
like,
it's what we talk
blowing
about in our
cash,
song.
like, so it's
We're
like,
shaking ass.
y'all
and all
doing
that.
the same shit.
But
we
we
do, yeah, we do the same
As they're
thing.
shaking
So what's
their
the
ass,
difference?
that's our natural, that's our cultural.
So that's our
dance.
culture too. We're all the
This is
same.
true.
Like,
You're
oh my
appreciating-
god, I'm about to shaking ass. I'm
Appreciation-
not whining. Like, okay, we're all
Appreciation of the
shaking
booty.
our body.
okay?
Like,
Appreciation of the booty.
that's the art of our culture. Like, why can't it be art? Like, and all.
True.
Yeah.
Like,
They
But-
got you on that one.
Like,
But
I'm just saying
this
the most
conversation
popular
was
one,
heated. If we keep
Nah,
going
we
back
can
and
do
forth,
that.
everyone obviously
Don't
has
play with
something
Future.
something to say. If we keep going back and forth, we're gonna stay here forever. We're gonna stay here all day. So please, what do you think, audience? Leave your comments down below. What do you think of this topic? Please let me know if you're also interested. If you want to join this conversation in person, leave your Instagram down below and I'll reach out to you. Okay, guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in.
But the real question is, who's better?
African, of course.
Final